Every day the computer telling me that the hard drive is it's never full. What is happening, everybody? It is time for NBA Live Before Lock, and a couple of reasons why I'm on NBA today. First off, there's no baseball tonight. We've only got the one-game baseball slate, so no MLB Live Before Lock tonight for that reason. Also, Josh is at the T-Pain concert tonight, so Josh is going to be out tonight. He's out tomorrow morning before returning tonight, so I get to join my dear friend for the first time in a while, Caitlin Lindquist. What's up, my man?
Wow. That's how we're starting. Great. Yeah. Thank you to you for that intro. Thank you to Jordan Klein for ruining my life. Really happy to be here today.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it as well. I don't know if you saw this, but we have Mod Dub T in our Discord channel. He made a stochastic avatar that has Caitlin Lindquist on it. People are playing it in tournaments. They're sending it to me. People are going to be winning GPPs with you as well. I mean, it's really hard to discern who's who, but Caitlin Lindquist is going to be winning GPPs in the near future. How does that make you feel, Eric?
Not good.
Well, I'm pretty excited about it, and I think a lot of the audience is as well. So people in the chat, if you haven't done yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're sponsored by Sleeper today, and we're going to be walking through the slate, talking about DraftKings, talking about FanDuel. The slates are different today. DraftKings is 5-game slate, FanDuel only a 4-game slate. So we did have FanDuel chopped off the late game from their slate. And one thing I want to ask you before we start here, it's not going to be concerned for the FanDuel side of things, but for DraftKings, Eric, Jamal Murray is questionable. Is that going to impact your decision-making heading into lock? Because I assume we're not going to have an official update on him before lock.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things with that entire game that are kind of fascinating. Obviously, Jamal Murray being the forefront of it, and then Kawhi Leonard, we do have that news already. So there's already a little bit of interest in landing on a Harden and George who just haven't played very well, absent Kawhi Leonard here of late. And you're still getting them at the same price against Denver. And yeah, Denver much better defensively than anything that Sacramento or Charlotte are throwing out there. But I think there's definitely positive regression due for both of them. So I think you can get to some of those pieces. Jokic, you can get to every day ending in a Y. I do think the value is going to be a little bit harder to really comb out of anything there. Reggie Jackson has been getting the starts. It's kind of wild to me. Reggie Jackson hasn't been pulling any of the ownership on any of these slates where he's appeared here recently. Only been playing like 23, 26. Christian Brown been playing more minutes, been playing pretty darn well in absence of him there, playing the lion's share of minutes, 26, 28, 27. But 3,800 for him, he's somebody you could get to a little bit of, but like even if you get Jamal Murray out here in this spot, I don't think I'm running to the window to go jam him or anybody else in this spot, outside of Jokic, of course, who I already will have lineups with.
Yeah, and I already know this is going to be a question that comes up. Here's something that I think is a sensible way to handle the situation with the Denver Nuggets. Give yourself a little bit of an ROI boost to Nikola Jokic, because we talk about these guys over the course of the season. If you have Jokic in a lineup and Murray plays, you're not going to be like, shit, I have Jokic. You'd still be fine with it. But in the event that Jamal Murray doesn't play, you're sure shit going to want to have some lineups that have Nikola Jokic in them. So Nikola Jokic, give him a little bit of an ROI boost in the Sims tool, and that is going to be a way that you could have yourself a little bit prepared for the potential situation where Jamal Murray does not end up playing. We do have a question here into the super chats. First, shout out to Chris Williams, who gifted out 5 YouTube memberships, and then Ace of Spade wants to know the best options for DK tiers. So he wants to know the 2 best options in each tier, Eric. So I'm going to look at what I have here for tiers. And starting with tier 1, pretty easy. It's going to be Doncic 1 and Jokic 2.
Yep, there you go.
The only thing I'll ask you on this is, if Jamal Murray sits, would that elevate Jokic over Luka for you? Or would it still be Luka over Jokic?
It would be Jokic over Luka in the event that you knew that was going to happen. Right now, they have a 4-point disparity between the two. I would have Jokic at 67.84 in the event that you had Jamal Murray out in this spot. And it's again, it's just basically taking it. Why did I hit my mic? I don't know. Why does anything happen here at the moment? I definitely know that Jokic would be somebody that would be very, very interesting, because you get lower ownership if people are just jamming lineups based on projections anywhere at the moment, and then giving yourself an opportunity to get to I don't know, the best player on planet Earth. I can't believe what Gilbert Arenas said today.
What did Gilbert Arenas say today?
Oh, Gilbert
I have him
Arenas,
muted on Twitter.
the man who brought 4 guns into an NBA locker room, decided to say that Joker is the worst NBA MVP in the last 40 years, end quote.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't really play him no mind. I believe I have him muted on Twitter. I've got the words Gilbert Arenas muted on Twitter. But I mean, it's kind of like shit talking on his podcast and then the clips going viral and him just saying nonsense. It's kind of the gimmick of the podcast to get it more attention. Like the take that he had that led to, or actually wasn't him. I think it was Kenyon Martin on the podcast, but it was still on his podcast. If you know which one it is I'm about to talk about, it was, they were saying that the best player on the Mavericks is Kyrie Irving and everybody knows it, but it's only media members that prop up Luka because he's white. And that's why people are saying that Luka is the best player on the Mavericks when all NBA players know it's Kyrie. Like, I saw that nonsense. Like, all right, I don't need this on my timeline. I could just have it done for my life forever.
Yeah, probably a good call.
Tier 2 from Ace of Spade. Anyway, Luka and Jokic, my 2 favorite options. For tier 1, if we're looking at tier 2,
Facts.
there's going to be Jalen Brunson 1, DeJounte Murray 2.
Perfect.
And then something else of note here, it's already Jalen Brunson 1 for me, but we also have Josh Hart listed as questionable for the Knicks. If he doesn't end up playing, then that would elevate Jalen Brunson a little bit higher. And Julius Randle already ruled out for the season earlier from the Knicks, which was not really a particular surprise. There will never be a Tom Thibodeau team in the history of his career that is healthy for an entire playoff run. Tier 3, that is going to be Kyrie Irving and then Steph Curry for me.
It is going to be Steph Curry and then Kyrie Irving for me.
Tier 4, that is going to be Paul George 1, James Harden 2.
Same.
Tier 5, Jalen Johnson 1, Dante DiVincenzo 2.
Jalen Johnson, the exact same thing.
And then a question for you about Jalen Johnson. Minutes, no concerns anymore. Played 37 last game. First game back from injury, only played 25. It seems like they've ramped him up fairly quickly. Expecting that to continue.
I hope it is lower today because he's the one guy that Prize Picks didn't throw out there. Again, we love our sponsor, Sleeper. We have DraftKings Pick 6 information. We have an optimizer as well for Prize Picks. Tons of great stuff over at Odd Shopper you can check out. But definitely fired up a short this morning where I recommended getting to pretty much all the mores on that spot. Jalen Johnson could see the minutes waned out because, well, they're pretty much locked into a 9 or 10 seed. But like, if everybody plays their normal minutes, all of the fantasy scores were about 4 or 5 too low. And then running it back with a couple of the front court pieces that have now moved like 2-3 fantasy score for PJ Washington, for Daniel Gafford. Phenomenal opportunity to throw those 6 together in a card and try to 25 exit, I think, tonight. But Jalen Johnson was not available, so he is one of the Hawks that is not there for me. But he's definitely the answer for tier 5.
Tier 6 is probably the hardest tier we've seen
Agreed.
the entire season. There's no clear answer here, and there's a shit ton of guys that project incredibly similarly. We've got Jabari Smith, Draymond Green, Michael Porter Jr., Clint Capella, Keegan Murray, Aaron Gordon. These guys are all viable options in this tier. I'm going to go Michael Porter Jr. 1, Jabari Smith 2. Part of me liking Michael Porter Jr. and getting to him here is because of that Jamal Murray being listed as questionable. Porter Jr. already somebody who looks really good. I think you could also make a case for Aaron Gordon 2 alongside Michael Porter Jr. for the exact same reason if Jamal Murray doesn't play. But which way do you see tier 6?
I have Keegan Murray 1, Michael Porter Jr. 2. But Michael Porter Jr. would be the guy that I think I would want to invest in the most in the event that you had Jamal Murray out, sees the usage bump. We have him in projections right now. Michael Porter Jr. probably would be number 1 that I would play in tiers just because of that reasoning.
And that wraps up all the tiers. So Ace of Spade, thank you very much for the super chat. We do appreciate it. I see we got a couple other super chats here. And then don't forget, guys, we've got the Discord channel as well. If you guys are a Stochastic sub, one of the perks of being a sub is you get access to our Discord channel. You could ask me questions whenever you want. If you want to sign up for any package, link below to sign up. And particularly once the playoffs start, that lineup generator package is going to be super valuable because you're not going to have to worry about late swapping really at all once the playoffs come around. You're going to be able to just kind of set your lineups and not totally forget them for the playoffs, but you could set it and you could feel a little bit better about there not being late scratches during the playoffs. So any subscription you guys want to sign up for at Stochastic, sign up using the links we have below. We've got the Sims package. We've got the lineup generator package. We've got just the data package. If you guys are just looking for data, And all that does include access to Discord. But before we get into Discord, shout out to Choke Hold'em, who left us a super chat that just says, good luck, guys. Yeah, Choke Hold'em, good luck to you as well today. And then Jowlin Verse wants to know, for FanDuel, lowest salary considered spend up, thanks, pimps. Okay, so FanDuel lowest salary considered and then spend up. So I think the way he's asking, who's the cheapest player that we consider to be in play on FanDuel, and then who's our favorite pay-up option? So starting with favorite value option on, or cheapest value option on FanDuel. Let's see. Derek Jones Jr. 3,900 for me. He's the cheapest guy that I actually get meaningful exposure to. There's other players that land in some of my lineups, like Gary Payton, for instance, and KJ Martin. He's in like a couple of lineups, nothing real significant. But in terms of a player that's actually landing in lineups, Derek Jones Jr.
Gary Payton always has like that odd chance to close 3,900. Like the salary, it's so hard to find pieces that are sub 4K now over on FanDuel. And if you go to the boom bust tool and just look at some of the stuff that we have there, kind of puts it into perspective. Derek Jones Jr., 26% ownership, 20.8% optimal percentage, and he's only projected for 14.87 fantasy points. So legitimately phenomenal stuff over there on FanDuel, where it's gotten to be tighter pricing at the bottom, at least. Looking at Dante Axum 4,200, but yeah, 3,900. I think Gary Payton or Derek Jones would be the cheapest I would go, period.
We have a question in Playback, and it is from Io Tayo, who's just asking us, is Josh Hart out? Josh Hart is currently questionable. So I'll let you guys know. Here's the updated injury reports that we have for today. Jamal Murray is questionable. Josh Hart is questionable. Mitchell Robinson is questionable. Zeke Naji also questionable. That's not really going to matter, but just because it's a small slate and he's on the injury report, worth mentioning there. But clearly the key injuries are going to be Jamal Murray and Josh Hart. Mitchell Robinson still playing somewhat limited minutes as he comes back from an injury. But getting back to the other part of the question that we had here, who's your favorite overall FanDuel pay-up option, Eric?
Favorite New York pay-up option here. FanDuel pay-up option. It is, I just added my 150 that got done. Come on, Sims, let's finish that up.
It is Brunson for me at 9,400. If it can be a guy in the 7K range, I do think Jalen Johnson looks really strong on FanDuel, but I'm feeling he means a more substantial pay-up option.
Kyrie Irving, which is
Brunson
wild.
At 9,400 is in 30% of the lineups that I built.
Yep, I love that. Jalen Brunson, great. I got him in, let me favorite this. Out of my top 100, he is in 40% of them, so that's pretty good.
And then something else to add about Jalen Brunson is another guy too. I think you can make a case for doing a little bit of an ROI boost to him, because we do have the situation with Josh Hart being questionable. Although, actually, I'll take that back. Just because the game locks at 7:30, we're going to get the news before. I'm so used to looking at the start times of the games and assuming 7:30 Eastern time means not right at lock, but that is at lock for today. So we should know that news fairly soon. Game's going to be starting in 45 minutes. Although there have been a handful of NBA injuries as of late that come out 2 minutes after games lock. So hopefully it's not the case like yesterday, where all of a sudden Malachi Flynn from left field puts up the most bizarre 80 fantasy point game I think I've ever seen.
So I went back and watched some of it because I didn't see any of it happen. And then it was just everybody tweeting about it that caught my attention. I didn't end up watching basketball. I go in my little cocoon here during baseball season and try to get on top of things. But the fuck? I mean, it was wild. And having Cade Cunningham, like just going, like every time he would make a bucket, it's just wild. Transition threes and coming off the screens. And I mean, it was kind of like all levels too. It wasn't like he knocked down 15 threes or something. I think, I don't remember what I saw the stat line end up being at the end, but 0.1% in DFS, thank God. The Cade Cunningham late scratch obviously boned a lot of people. It is late season NBA, friends, so you got to be aware of that kind of stuff, that it's just going to happen. It's part of the risk of playing right now, but my God, was that an enjoyable thing to watch.
Yeah, people were going last night like, oh, Malachi Flynn ruined the slate. I mean, not really, because nobody played him, so it didn't really matter. He was in, I don't know how many lineups last night, but like
0.1,
like 15 people played him. It was like such a minuscule amount of people. It didn't really ruin the slate. It's not like, oh my God, you needed to have Malachi Flynn. but you just wouldn't have known to play Malachi Flynn with Cade Cunningham ruled in, because Cade was questionable early in the day. He gets ruled in, then he gets ruled out 2 minutes after the game locks. So yeah, there was no real reason to get to Malachi Flynn, but then he just made every single shot he took yesterday. And
It's wild.
It was probably the most random 50-point game we'll ever see in our entire lives.
He's the lowest. This was what I saw this morning too. He has the lowest average points per game. It's something just under 6 that he averages per game for any player who scored 50 in NBA history.
Makes sense. I mean, I wouldn't have known what the answer was, but if you just had me guess, I would guess Malachi Flynn after the game he had yesterday, because he's only started a handful of games in his entire career, almost never gets playing time. When he does, it's usually mop-up duty where only comes in for 4 or 5 minutes. So yeah, his stats are certainly going to be low. Over at 14 wants to know, do you have 2 of Luka, Sabonis, Jokic together on DK? No, not necessarily.
Yeah, not necessarily at all. Nope.
Just considering what the salaries are for these guys, and then also the fact that Jokic and Sabonis are both centers, it is not easy to get Jokic and Sabonis lineups together. I assume I don't have any of them.
I bet I do on a 5-game slate here. I guess I didn't think about the question there. I can filter it.
Yeah, I don't have any lineups that have Jokic and Sabonis in them. I have some Luka Jokic lineups, but it's not a ton of them.
I have one.
You don't have to have 2 of Luka, Sabonis, and Jokic. You definitely don't have to.
Hello?
On my lineups now, and I mean, there are some cheap guys I like, but the pay up options that I'm getting the most of today, it's like DeJounte Murray. It's not like the highest of high end players. For yourself, if you're looking at your DraftKings lineups right now, who do you land on the most in your lineups as a guy who's 9K or higher?
9K or higher, it is. I mean, it's like so spread out. I've got 30% Domantas Sabonis right now. I've got 26% Jokic, but I'm probably going to ROI boost that even though I'm double on it. I have how much of him there? Luka, I'm not really getting to right now, which is kind of weird. He's generally the one that I jam in any kind of a spot where there's value, but like, I just want to know what everybody feels about the value here today. I mean, Cam Whitmore is really risky still, and we have not seen his minutes extended like whatsoever at any point. And people have just landed on Cam Whitmore today as the dude. Like Daniel Gafford, I'm getting to the most. You should feel, I think, by far the best about Daniel Gafford, and yet I'm getting to like one of Jokic or Sabonis in a majority of lineups. So like Daniel Gafford shown alongside with those two. Jalen Johnson has good positional eligibility, but not really value. Russell Westbrook, I think that's risky. I mean, the value is just not good today. And as a result, a 12-5 Luka, I think you got to get other pieces of your lineup right first before you get like a 70 burger from Luka doesn't necessarily kill you based on what happens for other players, not just up in that 10K range, but legitimately, how do you just piece together some value here on this one? I think this is a fun slate for tournaments purely because we have an opportunity to get a little bit off the board with some value. Feel like we haven't done that a whole lot this year.
What is people in chat are saying there's a lot of echo? Is that the case, Jordan? In playback, somebody said there's a lot of echo. All right. Well,
Echo and Eric
we'll
talks.
see. I'm not hearing echo for me.
Whoa. Okay, I think I did what I needed to do on that. So cool.
All right, cool. So
let me know if
hopefully everything is sounding pretty good right now. But let's go ahead and look at the other questions that we have. And yeah, just to finalize that, over at 14, yeah, you certainly do not need 2 of Luka, Sabonis, and Jokic on this. Like, I don't love the value options. There's guys I'm getting to, like Cam Whitmore's in about half my lineups, but I don't have any super cheap guy who I'm jamming in like 90% of lineups. And beyond Cam Whitmore, there isn't a guy that I really like all that much who's priced like around 4K or cheaper. There's guys that I get to a little bit of just out of necessity, like Tim Hardaway Jr., Amir Coffey. but it's not like I want to just load up on Amir Coffey, Tim Hardaway Jr., Cam Whitmore to force myself to get to Luka and Jokic and Sabonis and those guys. I'm okay with having lineups that are a little bit more balanced. It could end up changing based on the Knicks injury news if Josh Hart is ruled out, whenever that news ends up coming. But as far as value options outside of Cam Whitmore, is there anybody that you really, really think is worth getting to? And Cam Whitmore, by the way, is just because he's the only cheap guy who projects reasonably well.
That's exactly the thing. And like, it's hard for me to look at a scenario where at a 1.1 fantasy point per minute rate, playing 20 plus minutes here, shooting guard, small forward, and 4,100, that I'm saying I don't understand. Like, I completely understand why he's this popular. I just think that it's one of those things where there are opportunities to get to players that, I mean, Cam Whitmore, there is no right tail to his minutes. We've seen it the entire season. 24, like 27 is the most I think he's gotten to in a game at any point. He started against Boston, played 27 against Phoenix there in a pretty competitive spot. Not sure if anybody got dinged up there in that one, but otherwise in the regular season, we just never see him extend it past 24 minutes. They just don't want to. They're going to give more minutes to Ahmed Thompson. They're going to give more minutes to pretty much anybody before they give more minutes to Cam Whitmore. And it just creates a difficult scenario where it's like, all right, in a world where he overachieves and 1.3, 1.4 fantasy point per minute guy for today, and he puts up 30, like, obviously I would want that, but like, you're not dead. And Cam Whitmore, there's definitely an inherent downside where it goes on the inverse of it. So like, I see a lot of scenarios, depending what happens with the Josh Hart news and what happens in the next like 40 minutes, where I still get to Cam Whitmore. But I see a lot of scenarios where I trim this substantially based on injury news with Josh Hart.
And if you guys haven't done it yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. In 7 minutes, Eric and I are going to be doing the Nuke of the Night together. It has been a minute since we've done a Nuke of the Night together, so strap in for that in 7 minutes. First, we got a question here from James Moorer Jr., who wants to know, who's the fade of the day on FanDuel with high ownership? So let's say of any of the players who are projected for north of 20% ownership, Eric, which one of them is the least appealing to you over on FanDuel?
Yes, I just ran the Sims unencumbered. I don't see a lot of Dante Exum over there. 26.4% ownership on him, 4,200. I think he looks pretty similar to a Gary Payton. And Gary Payton's 300 less. I think Moses Moody on his own team, I would be more inclined to play. And the Sims definitely agrees with that. So Dante, or sorry, different team, obviously. Same team as the other guy. But anyway, Dante Exum, 4,200, not getting to it, looks like.
Keon Ellis for me. Keon Ellis is $5,200 on FanDuel and projected for north of 20% ownership. That's a hefty price tag to pay for Keon Ellis. Remember, Keon Ellis was like uber chalk on DraftKings, like a min price salary a few weeks ago, and people were upset about him at min price. Now people are paying him at $5,200. So I think Keon Ellis is a little bit overpriced, a little bit overowned. He's somebody who I like being underneath the field to there. James Moore hardly getting to any of Keon Ellis.
Yeah, I mean, he was 3K on a slate with Malik Monk still there. Malik Monk and Kevin Huerter both being out changes it a little bit, but Keon Ellis played what, 27, 22 minutes the last two. Part of them were blowout wins, so there is that, but I'm with you. 5,200, a little egregious if you ask me.
Let's go into Discord here. And once again, don't forget, guys, you want access to the Discord channel, sign up for any of the stochastic subscriptions we have in the description box below. And our first question here, it is from our friend who has migrated from the baseball shows, BBC, GC and Mouth 8. Yeah, you're probably not familiar with our new friend here. But sure, yeah, we've got a new friend who's always in Discord asking questions, and I love it. And the baseball audience, there's some people in the baseball audience that are not as down with some of the bits that we do here, who are horrified by his name, but there's nothing I can do about it. It's his name in Discord. He's a paying customer. Therefore, I have to read his name in every question he asks. And he's BBC, GC, and Mouth 8. The first 7 were already taken, so he had to label himself 8. And oh my God. He wants to know, who is the cream pie play of the day and the pullout play of the day? All right. So who's gonna make your night, Eric? Who is the cream pie play of the day?
Dante DiVincenzo.
I'll go DeJounte Murray here. I do think DeJounte Murray is quite a bit under-owned on this slate, and you're getting pretty modest ownership on DeJounte Murray on a slate where I do find it a little bit hard to get all the way up to the highest pay-up options just because of the lack of value. So some of these secondary tier stars like Jalen Brunson, like DeJounte Murray, I'm liking. And then the pull-out play of the day. Who are you going to be avoiding in DraftKings tournaments relative to their ownership or be underweight to? Who are you aborting on?
Cam Whitmore at the moment. That could change. Again, I've kind of made some changes to the Knicks to account for what I think might happen. But again, if Josh Hart plays, that's 40-something minutes because, again, Tim's will just no regard for human life. So then I'll have to change a couple of things because I've already tweaked it. But Cam Whitmore at the moment.
Let's see. Who am I trying to get away from right now? Who am I underweight to most aggressively? I hate to say it. You brought it up before too. Well, this one could really come back to haunt me. But it's Luka right now. At the moment,
yeah, I said I have like no Luka at the moment. It's not good.
It's hard to get to. It's a good one.
I don't know where 20-some% of the people are feeling comfortable on this slate. I don't see it at the moment.
Yeah, I just ran an updated sim here to just because, ownership updates and whatnot, like to see where does I end up landing. And yeah, I've got Luka in 12% of lineups right now. So about half the field, just hard to get up to that salary on Luka. So if he goes out and has a massive game, it's going to be a little bit hard for me to get there. Luka, it looks like I'm going to be underweight to him. Rico Rod 1980 wants to know top FanDuel plays by position.
Mm-hmm.
You said you have FanDuel lineups built out as well, Eric?
I did build out a 150 set over there.
So my answer at point guard on FanDuel is Jalen Brunson. One thing I will add is that Luke is easier to get to on FanDuel than DraftKings, but Jalen Brunson at point guard.
Yes. Same.
Shooting guard, that is Moses Moody for me.
Moses Moody. I was going to say the FanDuel special today.
Small forward, that is Cam Whitmore for me.
Jalen Johnson for me.
Jalen Johnson is for me at power forward.
Okay, Josh Hart, if he ends up out. Again, I ran this different than DK where I didn't make any adjustments whatsoever. I just ran it straight off. So Josh Hart.
And then at center, Daniel Gafford.
By a lot.
Yeah, Daniel Gafford over there at center. Rico Rob, thank you for the question. We appreciate it. So let's do one more question from Discord. Then we'll do the nuke of the night and get back to all your guys' questions. But the next question here is from Already wants to know, who is the best DraftKings single entry spend up and value? So if you're playing a single entry lineup, Eric, who would you consider the best overall value option for that one lineup and the best pay up option?
Don't want to give the nuke of the night. Let's go spend up. I have more Sabonis at the moment, but relative to ownership, Jokic, I think that's a phenomenal one to be getting to. And then in terms of value, what are we considering value? I'm going to consider value anything under 5K. Just thinking of like what a single entry lineup looks like chalk, and then one piece of differentiation. I'll go.
Better not take mine.
I'll go Miles McBride. What is he? 5,900, sub 6K. Okay, so sub 5K, I'll go Terrence Mann.
Sub 5K for me is going to be Russell Westbrook. That's the direction that I'm looking to go here. You look at the last couple of games for Russell Westbrook. He played. So if we go back to, so last handful of games, his minutes have slowly escalated. 17, 18, 20, 24. It's not to say that Russell Westbrook's going to be playing, 32 minutes or anything like that in the near future. But even at this stage of Russell Westbrook's career, while he's clearly not the same real life player was at one point, he's still a very serviceable fantasy producer. And when you also consider that the Clippers are a little bit short-handed today, I do think we continue to see mid-20s minutes out of Westbrook. Modestly owned. He is somebody who I like being overweight to him. I look at Cam Whitmore as the overall best points per dollar option on the slate, but it is difficult to be way different than the field is on him. So somebody for single entry that I don't think will be crazy popular, Russell Westbrook. Is he in any lineups for you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely Russell Westbrook. I think what I'm kind of doing is I'm getting to more of this. I mean, they're not going to be a crazy late swap situation. I think Christian Brown would be a lot more interesting if you ended up getting Jamal Murray out. But Peyton Watson's minutes are pretty capped, right around 20, no matter what. Davis Caldwell-Pope, it's not like he's going to see a crazy boost, maybe a little bit of a usage boost, but still around a 0.7 guy without him. So it's not really going to change anything there. Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr., you kind of want to have some lineups with them for sure, because again, the tags came down. If Jamal Murray plays, you still can get to Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr. That's not going to be an issue. So they would look better. But getting to the other side with the Clippers, I mean, brought up Terrence Mann. I think this is somebody who still is going to play 28-ish minutes, 29-ish minutes, and it's just been absolutely god-awful terrible. But at 3,700, I can make him into Christian Brown if need be. In a lot of lineups, that shouldn't be an issue. But Russell Westbrook, overall, the guy that I think is looking the best from the Clippers by far.
Jordan, play the animation for the first time in, I think, about a week and a half. It's time for the nuke of the night. I get to see the animation. Let's see Eric's cock get blown off. Hit it. Okay. Fuck, it already got removed early. Twice in one day.
Yeah. Tough life. Tough life here.
Eric, your penis has gone once again, but as we have seen throughout the course of the season, the good news is it grows back very quickly, much like a lizard. So, Eric, who's the nuke of the night?
I don't see how, on this slate, you don't love getting yourself to DeJounte Murray here at 6%. I absolutely love what you did there. I just gave him a little bit of a boost, and I've gone back and forth between him or getting to Clint Capella, Jalen Johnson, just pulling insane ownership at the moment. Capella could probably be nuke of the night in some capacity here, where we saw just some ridiculous stuff from Jalen Johnson. Definitely going to cut into the rates of these guys, but DeJounte Murray is still the alpha here, and at 6%, this is just like box score watching at its finest. Brought it up with Josh, where it's like, oh, he hasn't put up 70 here lately, and people just get away from him. He is still somebody who is putting up massive, massive fantasy totals alongside Jalen Johnson here. I have no problem getting a sub 10K DeJounte Murray against a backcourt in Luka and Kyrie that doesn't necessarily scream defense to me. Nearly a 230 total. What is it, down to 227, I suppose, because of the back-to-back, a little bit of worries about blowout, but I'm so with you there. DeJounte Murray on DraftKings, specifically on FanDuel, does not look like I was getting to him there in that 150 set for the people playing over there, but I definitely want to be jamming him on DK. DeJounte Murray, nuke of the night, go everybody on Atlanta.
So I came into the show thinking DeJounte Murray was going to be my nuke of the night. It has changed a little bit, and not because you had just mentioned him and I don't want to be repeating, but now that we don't have this Josh Hart news and the slate locks in 25 minutes, you know, I still do think the most likely scenario is Josh Hart plays, but if he gets ruled out in the next 15 minutes, Jalen Brunson's going to be under-owned. So right. I talked before, it's kind of funny how things come around full circle, because I talked before about, hey, you guys might want to consider giving an ROI boost to Jalen Brunson in case Josh Hart is ruled out. And then I thought about it, I was like, oh, no, never mind. That game starts right at the top of lock. It's unnecessary. But now I do want to make sure that I'm preloading lineups with Jalen Brunson, and I do want to be more aggressively overweight to the field, just because if we do see Josh Hart ruled out late in the late going here, a few minutes before lock, I don't think people are going to be playing Jalen Brunson as much as they should. So Jalen Brunson, he is going to be my nuke of the night. And I can't believe Brunson isn't more expensive at this point. Considering some of the big performances we had, he really should be a guy who's priced like over 10K.
Well, he's almost being punished for the fact that, like, these are two tough matchups. Oklahoma City, Miami. Like, I don't disagree with you where it's like, I understand why he's at 9,100 now, but this is definitely, I'm not going to say buy low. It's not like he's super cheap, but I mean, this is a dude who was 9,400 against Toronto and then puts up the 79 burger against San Antonio. Those are spots you would expect Jalen Brunson to go completely berserk. And Dante DiVincenzo is starting to, be that number two in terms of the usage. 36.4% usage against Miami last time out, 21.8% against OKC. But like, we've seen some massive upside from DiVincenzo in terms of what that usage can be from time to time. Nearly 30% usage in that game. He had 11 threes against Detroit and had that back and forth there with Williams. But I am very much on board with you there. Dante DiVincenzo, shooting guard, small forward, though. I brought him up a number of times. I mean, he is the guy that I'm playing the most from the Knicks, but I'm totally with you. If you get that news of Josh Hart going out, Jalen Brunson is going to be incredible.
24 minutes until lock. So we're about to get back to the questions here, but what do you make, if anything, from that we don't have an update on Josh Hart or Mitchell Robinson at this point?
I mean, we don't have an update yet. I mean, 24 minutes. I'm going to say that it's like the most game time of game time decisions. And I think if we get to lock like 5 minutes before lock and they're just not announced, I'm going to just jam all the Hartenstein and Brunson and just hope for the best. I think that probably is the way that I go about it. DiVincenzo obviously will show up for me as well. I guess the question is like, what do you do with like a Miles McBride for this news? And Bojan Bogdanovic 3,600. I know the minutes hadn't been good of late, but he got up to 20 against Miami. They've lost 3 in a row. They've kind of not toyed with the rotation because it's impossible for Tibbs to do anything but play 5 guys 40 plus minutes, it would appear. But Bojan did carve out 20 minutes. This might be a Lord Bojan spot to take a couple shots. I think that probably becomes the slept on piece of value with Josh Hart out.
And Christian Valentine left us a super chat asking that question. He said, if Hart is out, thoughts on Bogdanovic? He could enter the starting lineup. It's possible.
I think the most likely outcome is you would have Precious just rejoin it. But I'm with you where Bojan, I mean, he played 20 minutes last time out and Precious played 27, didn't exactly do anything with him, but I think it more than likely becomes Achua just based on the minutes and based on what we've seen previously restarted alongside Hartenstein, but would not shock me to have it be Bojan, and I would love that because I think from a fantasy point perspective, that's the guy who can go out and eat up some usage. Precious is a good fantasy producer. It's just that he's still 4,300, I suppose. Yeah, I just want to get to a lot of Knicks, period.
We do have Sosa Giovanni 15. He has let us know, Eric, that over on FanDuel, Josh Hart has the green check mark. Well, look at that.
We're back to that.
We just got. Josh Hart is going to be starting today. We just got the starting lineup. So is FanDuel correct? Sometimes, but this one I think was one where they had a data source that probably came in with some incorrect information, but ended up being true anyway. So Josh Hart is in. My initial reaction to that, I still like Jalen Brunson, but Josh Hart becomes a pretty strong looking GPP play now because I don't know how many people are going to be getting to Josh Hart, and I think he's likely going to be lower owned than what his projected ownership is.
On DK, probably. On FanDuel, he was already like, I know he's 20% on DK, but I think on FanDuel, when I ran that first one, I had a ton of him. Yeah, he's nearly 40% owned over there. So FanDuel, that probably won't apply, but on DK, it might.
And no update yet on Mitchell Robinson. I'm searching Twitter to see if anything comes, but it does appear that that update has to be coming in the next couple of seconds here. But Mitchell Robinson still officially listed as questionable. Jorge Giacomi says
available to play. Mitchell Robinson
have for 20 lineups, and he is only playing 20 in the large GPP. Who are the 3 players you think you should have the most ownership to, or just overall prioritize the most out of 20 lineups?
Daniel Gafford, Russell Westbrook,
Jalen Johnson is my
Jalen Johnson. Yep. Those are the 3.
Green check mark. Look at that. We got green check mark leaving us a super chat right after we got the question or surrounding that Josh Hart had the green check mark over on FanDuel. So worlds colliding here. Green checkmark wants to know, who is the Caitlin Lindquist face swap play of the night, Eric?
What? I mean, I'm going to just... We have too many plays with too many things.
A pivot play. We could call this a pivot play. Come on, Caitlin, hit us with it. Who's the best pivot of the night?
Terrence Mann is somebody that I'm playing today, and I don't recommend it, but I am playing him with my money.
I am going to say here. I mean, Jokic on the high end, considering he's barely projected for over 10% ownership. I think if you're going to be paying up for Jokic instead of other guys, but I don't really know what the intention of who is the Caitlin Lindquist face swap play of the night. It's hard to know for that one.
You feel so proud of yourself in that little chair, Mr. High and Mighty Jordan Klein.
I'm just reading questions that people ask. I have nothing to do with this.
Okay.
You think I know what questions people are going to ask ahead of time?
It's just throwing up.
Only one, the three people involved in this show right now, only one of us is a plant that occasionally asks questions to troll you. It's not me and it's not you. That is factual. That is
saboteur. Factual. You absolute saboteur. How dare you? How
Ryan
dare
Andriotti,
you?
Ryan Andriotti says, you're Nuke and Keegan Murray, Brunson and Jalen Johnson. Is this a question? Yes. You're Nuke. Okay, so I'm guessing this is a 2v2, and he's asking us DeJounte Murray and Keegan Murray or Brunson and Jalen Johnson. Brunson and Jalen Johnson.
Agreed.
If I misunderstood the intent of the question, let me know, but I think that was supposed to be a 2v2. I think. Let's see what we have in the Discord. If we go back into there, we've got a question from JEW. He says, what are you planning on getting to if Josh is out? Well, don't have to worry about that because Josh Hart is not out. He was just confirmed in, so we are good to go. And then BBC. So BBC in my mouth 8 wants to know, how do we feel about Jalen Johnson today? Core play. He's one of my most rostered players on the entire slate.
He is a very good play. He's by far the only thing people are getting to from Atlanta.
Yeah, but whoa, this is an interesting one. From once again, I can't control what people say in chat. They just say it, and sometimes they pay us for these questions. But Jerkwood says they took away Pornhub, so I use Caitlin Lindquist. I'm not gonna read
Somebody bookmarked it yesterday. Somebody bookmarked it.
So in fairness, I think the reason people bookmarked it was to make avatars out of it. I don't think people had ill intentions.
They need to find God. That's all I had to say. They need to find themselves a Lord and Savior. Jordan.
Have you considered making an OnlyFans as Caitlin?
No, Greg. I've
you
not.
Do all kinds of stuff with AI.
Go ahead and talk to the screen. Go ahead.
All right, well, he's gone. There's only one potential solution to this. Jordan, can you replace his blank picture with a picture of Caitlin Lindquist?
Oh my God. No, that's not the point of this.
It's the only solution. If your camera isn't working. If your camera isn't working, we could just replace you with Caitlin, then people remember what you look like. Or you could do the other one. You could do if you don't want to do Caitlin Lindquist, then you could do Eric Clark instead. There's different ways we could go with this. Let's get back to some of the questions.
Oh my God, Jordan!
He thought he could turn off his camera and get away with it. Nice. There we go. This is where the top analysis is coming from.
So if I turn it back on, am I gonna
because of this that I'll be texting to you later that I think we might be able to work with. But hey, this is the punishment for when you turn your camera off, Eric. This is the only possible way for us to get around it. Let's get back into the Discord here because we got a question from Mod Dub T. He wants to know, what are our thoughts on the Sacramento Kings rotation? He says that he's ready to get some exposure to Trey Lyles and Davion Mitchell. Do they have any minutes upside? Eric, are you considering taking flyers on Trey Lyles or Davion Mitchell tonight?
No.
Caitlin, are you considering getting exposure?
Oh my God. Okay, now it's gone too far. Now you know that you have upset me. Now you know you have upset me. But it's okay. It's all right.
I got something that you might like. Lyles. I have
no, not smash or pass. We're not playing smash or pass with my face swap. You absolute fucking heathens.
Here's gonna be the new game. Jordan, we are going to have to come up with like 10 Eric face swaps, and then just the audience will say would or not, and we could rate them all. We could rank the different Eric face swaps.
Richie G, easy smash. Bro, you do our projections. Leave me alone. You have work to do.
Yeah, and he's projecting what he would do if he ever met Caitlin Lindquist in the future. It's part of the projection process.
I am so
Rich, as a follow-up, how many beers? 1, 3.
It's actually funny. I can't even be mad at that. Oh, shit.
That'll be the next game. How many beers for the Eric face flops? Yeah,
Zero,
Trey
apparently.
Lyles. I don't think Trey Lyles has substantial minutes upside, but here's the scenario where Trey Lyles could maybe come into play. The value options suck today. If you get 20 fantasy points out of Trey Lyles and say like Luka has a big game or Jokic has a big game, preferably Jokic in my lineups, then yeah, you could wind up with Trey Lyles being in a winning lineup just because the pay up options could potentially have big games and the value options kind of suck.
Yep, pretty much.
Ethan 7 is asking a 1v1 question. Josh Hart or Jalen Johnson for FanDuel? Jalen Johnson for me.
Jalen Johnson.
Then we've got another super chat here from Tito Wilson. He's asking for a last man in, Dante DiVincenzo or Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson is winding up in every single 1v1 and 2v2 that we've gotten today.
I get it. I mean, he just got done having the absolute eruption spot, sub 5% yesterday, and now everybody's running to the window. But here's the thing. He's still a good play. I still find him pretty unavoidable. I think most things with Jalen Johnson in them, we're going to take that side of it because of his existence. We feel better about a 7K piece like him that I feel is going to have a pretty low, like a pretty high floor, if you will. Obviously fills up a box score in a myriad of ways. The assist rate's only climbed absent Trae Young here this season. It's just gotten better and better. So yeah, he's just unavoidable chalk on this slate.
Yeah, Jalen Johnson, core play for me. FanDuel and DraftKings, he shows up in just a ton of lineups for me. So for the most part, any 1v1 question you guys are going to ask me, unless it's like a massive salary imbalance, if you're like, I can't figure out whether to play Luka or Jalen Johnson, the answer is probably going to be Jalen Johnson for me.
Yeah.
Next question that we have in here is from Rico Rod. He wants to know, for FanDuel, are any of the Sixers solid options with Tobias Harris out, Eric? So Tobias Harris is out, and I want to know if that is going to impact your lineups, whether it be DraftKings or FanDuel. Any 76ers players that you're prioritizing getting to?
I thought about it a lot today and just had nothing. I think just getting a guy who just eats up as much usage when he's on the floor and as much production as Joel Embiid does just disintegrates any interest, because basically these prices still need about a week to get to where they need to be alongside a Joel Embiid. Like we're still, 6,500 Kelly Oubre is still like, I can't do it. I just can't. Tyrese Maxey's the best looking play for me from the 76ers, and I have 0% of him. So like, I can't play anybody from this team. I legitimately have 0 76ers in lineups.
Yeah, let me check my 76ers exposure. By the way, Mitchell Robinson is in, so there's nothing that we're going to have to change from this. Cool, right? I didn't want to have to hustle to change everything 5 minutes before lock goes. It's cool
because we were screwing around.
If Josh Hart was ruled out 5 minutes before lock, I'd be like, that's a substantial change, right? Like, I'd be happy with the value that opens up. I don't want to have to mess around with stuff because Mitchell Robinson gets ruled out right before lock. But anyway, he is in. He is good to go. As far as my 76ers guys, I've got a couple liners with Nick Batum and nothing other than that. Here's the big problem with the 76ers. I understand people are going like, hey, Tobias Harris is out. Joel Embiid's back. So any usage that otherwise would have been gained in a normal scenario with Tobias Harris out, it's just not going to really matter for today. But one Joel Embiid related question I want to ask you. What's your expectation for playing time for him?
30. Played 29. I thought there was a chance that was going to be around the number. That was definitely on the high end of minutes as Josh and I were talking through it. But glad you listened to everything that I said. That was nice. That was nice.
I'm just adding my opinion as well.
It was the exact same wording and everything that I had just got done saying.
And I agree with
verbatim.
I agree with you.
So you're going to make fun of me and not listen to me. What a great show. Good to have you back.
Oh my God. Oh my God. We got a... What are you, my wife? Throw the picture up again, Jordan.
No, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it, please. I apologize. I'm sorry. I didn't mean anything by it.
I like this new power play card I have.
Yeah,
there's no more dodging it, Eric, because you could either meet me face to face and face the music that way, or you could go away and you face a much harsher penalty with Caitlin Lindquist on screen. Got a super chat from King fucking Dash. King fucking Dash says he needs 2 shooting guards for FanDuel cash. He's got $9,900 left. one from Eric, one from Greg. This might not work. Like, we're going to have to coordinate what we want to do with the salary. So let me go and look at FanDuel salaries here. So 9,900. And this is for cash. Oh, this is actually not going to be all that difficult. This is a simple one. I'm not even going to need you for this, Eric.
Oh,
We've
well, there you go.
Oh, no, fuck, it doesn't work. I was going to say Klay Thompson and Dylan Brooks, but never mind. The salaries actually doesn't work. Dylan Brooks and Moses Moody. If he's got 9,900 to spend.
Yep. Love. I'm playing Moody a little bit on DK, a little bit more than I thought I was.
So there is one issue with this, though, King fucking Dash. You shouldn't be leaving that much salary on the table, right? Like, you don't just want to have $800 in salary left over. So
yeah,
ideally, you want to be able to upgrade another spot. But to me, the guys you're considering playing at shooting guard in cash on FanDuel is Klay Thompson, Dylan Brooks, and Moses Moody.
Yep.
So hopefully that helps you. If you have a follow-up to that, King fucking Dash, you don't have to leave another super chat. Just throw it into YouTube chat, and I'll be on the lookout to see if you have a follow-up in terms of maybe you already have Dylan Brooks at a small forward spot or something like that. But for now, I'm going to say Dylan Brooks, Moses Moody, and then use that extra salary to upgrade one of your other spots.
Love
it. Modub T is in Discord right now posting a updated version there of the Caitlin Lindquist avatar for people to go play with over on DraftKings and FanDuel today.
Sport the avatar, stochastic.com.
Yeah. If you guys want to get free access to any of the subscriptions that we have here over at Stochastic, here's a very simple way to do it. Download the Stochastic avatar. And then if you do come in the top 3 of a GPP with at least 5,000 entries, add us at the Stochastic HOF. You are going to get featured in a Hall of Fame segment. And also, get yourself a free month of any package of your choosing over here. If you want the NBA package, you get that. If you want the MLB package, you could choose that. And yeah, I'm also, if you guys use the Stochastic avatar that has Caitlin Lindquist on it, that absolutely still qualifies. Some would say qualifies double. And here. We have some DFS related questions as well in here, Eric. JEW wants to know, who are our favorite small forwards for DK single entry?
We haven't even talked about Paul George. I would entertain that as like a contrarian piece. Josh Hart. Now that we got the news that he's in, I definitely think Josh Hart.
Cam Whitmore still a good value option, not because like we're expecting to go out and score 40 or anything, but just because the options are fairly shitty, not just on the slate for cheap, but small forward's also a fairly weak position. I'm going to say Josh Hart at small forward because, yeah, Jalen Johnson's power forward only eligible on DraftKings. No small forward eligibility for him. So, yeah, if we're looking to get contrarian at small forward, Josh Hart. So, Eric and I on the same page there. And then IC50 wants to know, do we have a lean on Jamal Murray? 6 minutes to go until lock. We're likely not going to get the update on Jamal Murray until way, way after these games end up locking. If you had to guess right now, did Jamal Murray play or sit, Eric?
I bet he sits. 60-40, he sits.
So we're at a point in the season. I've referenced this a couple of times doing basketball shows. About a week and a half ago, Michael Porter Jr. is doing an interview post-game. And the reporter asks him something along the lines of, you guys are at the top of the Western Conference standings. You're the defending champions. What is your goal with, I believe at the time there was 10 games left in the regular season. And he said, be healthy come the playoffs. They're not sweating the 1 seed. They don't care if they're 1, 2, or 3. They just want to be healthy for the playoffs. And they believe they could beat anybody. With that in mind, Jamal Murray has to be 100% at play today. If he is 98%, they're going to sit him out. So backing up what Eric said, I do think the most likely scenario is he doesn't play.
Yeah, I'll elevate it to 65-35.
And not saying that's like a guarantee or anything like that, but it's enough reason for, once again, if you guys are stochastic subs and you're using the Sims tool, just give yourself a little bit of a boost, like 10-15% ROI boost to Nikola Jokic in the Sims tool. Get yourself a little bit more. Make sure you're overweight to him, and then you're going to have yourself a pay-up option who would be under-owned in the event that Jamal Murray sits. But one other thing that I want to ask you, just related to Jamal Murray here, Anybody else, and I know we talked about it a little bit at the top of the show, but still worth bringing up for people who might have not been here at the top. Anybody else from the Nuggets that you were going to be wanting to get to if Jamal Murray is ruled out?
Yeah. So Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., Christian Brown. I'm still going to take a little bit of Reggie Jackson along for the ride. And yeah, it's pretty much going to be it. KCP showing up a little bit as is. Like, I don't think he changes a ton for me either way. Just try to see anything else that I'd really mind out. Watson pretty capped. Not really taking any other shots. Yeah, those are the main ones. But Christian Brown goes from somebody that I would have zero interest in to somebody that I think actually looks like a pretty good value play and has been playing high 20s minutes and is pretty quiet. So I think that that's a very intriguing way. And that's why I'm loading up some Terrence Mann in my life.
Yeah, there isn't one guy from Denver who is going to be going from like not in lineups to like 60 or 70% of lineups or anything like that. It's more of a cumulative across the board boost. A little bit more of Jokic, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr. The one that I'm going to be prioritizing once again, though, is Jokic, because if we do get the scenario Jamal Murray's in, I'm not really all that interested in guys like Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr., but I'm good with Jokic no matter what, which is the reason why I am more prioritizing him. Let's go back into Discord to make sure there weren't any other final questions that we missed. And as this is loading for me, because Discord's been a little slow at the moment, a couple minutes from now, we're going to be over in playback doing the usual thing. Ben Raza is going to be joining me tonight. So we're going to be taking all kinds of betting questions and, of course, the usual as well, watching the basketball game, sweating them. But if you guys have any questions about betting or odd shop or anything related to that, you're going to want to watch the show tonight, because Ben is certainly going to be able to answer those questions, myself as well. And, you know, the usual, be hanging out and having some fun. IC50 wants to know Moody or Brown if Murray is out. Well, here's the issue with that. I think it's very unlikely to get the Murray news prior to the Golden State Houston game locking.
I think that's why I'm trying to like be careful with the way that I phrase it, because like, yeah, I'm assuming it's his last lineup spot. He has 3,800, and it's like, all right, what are you going to do? Here's what I would do. I think my answer is actually going to be Trey Mann that I would turn into Christian Brown if Murray's out, and I would rather get to Terrence Mann. So if you have the shooting guard spot, or if it's a utility spot or whatever it's going to be, if you have the ability to go Mann, I actually will bring in door number 3 and play him first and turn him into Brown.
Yeah, so I'm going to, the answer is Moody as of right now. And then also, if we don't have the news at 8 o'clock, it's Moody for me, especially like Eric was saying before. There's a good chance that IC50 here is just, you know, playing like a lineup or two, and he's talking about his last spot in. If you're just playing one lineup, I'd be very hesitant to tell people to reserve a lineup spot for Christian Brown in that spot. So Moses Moody, if we do end up somehow getting that Murray news in the next, 15, 20 minutes, then sure, go ahead and play Christian Brown. But for the most part, I think we can confidently say Moses Moody, the guy that you are going to want to be getting to in that spot. Just a few seconds left to go here until lock. Hopefully you got your lineups in with no issues there, Eric. But any final thoughts before we head on over to playback? I'm just realizing, no matter what, my mentions are going to be unbearable on X. Why? During the UConn-Iowa game. I already am dreading every single second of that basketball game. I already hate all of you. Is UConn going to be, what day do they play? I think it's Sunday. So it's usually the day after the men's on Saturday. So I think they play on Sunday. So I already hate all of you. I just want you to know that. This is a big opportunity for you. You could win an NCAA championship. Why are you not excited? It's 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. We got to go. That it is. Guys, come join us over on Playback Jordan. Spam the chat. Let them know that we're going to be hanging out over in Playback, and Ben Raza jumping on with me. We're going to be talking about some betting. We'll be sweating the basketball games, the usual deal. If you guys haven't done yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. See you all over in Playback. Peace out.